I hope all of you had a lot of fun last night. I had fun talking about security, but we're going to pivot and talk about networking today. Jay talked about networking, zero trust networking, showed you our new branch box, and we're going to go in more detail on that box today. But before we talk about innovations, let's take a look at how the world of networking has changed. The way we all have worked has changed, first of all. We all used to go to a workplace, and workplace was same as your organization. Then, world became distributed. We had SD-WAN that came along. We had VPNs that came along. Networking became the gel that started bringing organizations which were distributed together. And then, hybrid work happened in the last few years. So users started working from anywhere. There's no corporate network anymore. So this shift has happened. And underlying network technologies have changed as well. The technologies that have been built in early 70s, the SNA network from IBM, where everything was static, users get an IP address, you sit in a cube, applications, networks have an IP address, everything was static, right? Then we'll move to IP networking for the last 3 years. All of us have done CCNA, CCNPs, we took pride in doing CCIEs, all good stuff, very relevant in today's world. IP networking is required because you need that everything gets assigned an IP address and traffic routes, right? But we all know routable networks create attack surface, right? So how do we minimize that problem? We have to think about zero trust approach towards networking as well, like we take zero trust approach towards security. So the traffic that goes from users to applications or applications to application should not be routable. Routing is required as a plumbing. It's commoditized. But communication should happen over a zero trust architecture. So traffic is, in today's world, is moving from our priorities are moving from just networking to secure networking. We all are moving towards cloud. So cloud migration, building in cloud, secure cloud migrations are happening. Your branches are connecting more and more to these applications. We talked about how Zscaler is working with Equinix. We talked about how our customers are taking their branch offices and taking them directly to internet. And the proliferation of IoT, OT basically is making sure there's a lot more connectivity happening than we desire. And a lot of shadow connections come up as well. So in this world, there is a lot more attack surface being created as well. There is a lot more lateral movement happening as well. The way we thought about cloud and branch networking needs to change as a result. So if I take a step back, I've been at Zscaler for many, many years. I remember when I joined Zscaler, Jay used to say, no hardware, no software, right? So basically, every customer did a GRE or IPsec tunnel to Zscaler. They had pack files. They worked well, right? And world was good. We were a cloud gateway. You bring traffic to us, and we give you a secure internet experience. Then the world evolved. Windows 8 operating system came. iOS and Android came along, and it was not easy to run things like Packfile on those, so we built an agent, a universal agent, which does everything that Zscaler does on all platforms. Then SD-WANs came along. We saw an opportunity to partner with them. We opened up our connectivity APIs, so everyone can integrate with us. With a click of a button, many of you can actually set up connectivity very easily with Zscaler. Now we are in this fourth phase of our journey, which we call zero trust connectivity. Last year, if you were at Zenith Live, you remember I talked about we introducing zero trust cloud connectivity. This year, we are talking about branch connectivity. And there are special scenarios where you need premium connectivity like we have in China, right? How to take traffic out of China, how do we give our customers premium bandwidth in China, those kind of special solutions exist. And now world is eventually going to move towards managed connectivity, where you as a customer set up workloads, you basically tell Zscaler, I need zero trust connectivity for that. You click a button, and that happens. A couple of my colleagues who are going to come afterwards are going to show you some of the things we are doing in this area. So overall, the way I look at it is the responsibility model is moving more and more from customer towards Zscaler. And we are geared towards that. You all know about Zero Trust Exchange architecture that we have built. There are two places where Zero Trust connectivity applies. First and foremost, between or closer to the workloads, right? this is where the cloud connectivity, multi-cloud connectivity is important. Workloads either go to internet or workloads talk to each other. So you need to build zero trust connectivity framework at the cloud level. Second place, zero trust branch connectivity. This is where your employees are sitting. This is where your IoTs and OTs are sitting. How do you steer that traffic to zero trust exchange? So if you think about Zscaler platform, cyber threat protection, data protection are two key pillars, right? Nothing bad coming in, nothing good leaking out. Then business insights. A couple of my colleagues show you what we are doing with Risk 360 and business insights. We're going to talk about our digital experience. And then you think about zero trust connectivity as the glue that holds it together. It automates how you bring traffic to the zero trust exchange. So if we look at how we think about connectivity, we built a client. Our client is built on the SDN architecture. It figures out what is near Zscaler data center and what is the most efficient way to bring traffic to the cloud. 40 million users are connect to Zero Trust Exchange through this client every single day. 15 million users' digital experience is monitored every single through this client. We talked about cloud connectivity. We introduced this last year, strong growth. A lot of customers are moving workloads to the cloud. We have seen 365% growth in amount of cloud workload traffic that we are seeing through our cloud connectivity solutions. And we are introducing branch connectivity, and you will soon see what innovations we are rolling out there with the simplicity where you can set up connectivity to the exchange with very minimal effort. So we have more than a dozen design customers who have moved to production, and we see more than 10 terabytes of traffic coming to the exchange today. And the glue that holds it all together, the user experience. Security should not come at the expense of user experience. That's our underlying mantra, and we actually have given our customers a framework through which they can figure out when experience is not right, why it is not right. So to talk about each of these innovations in each of these areas, I would first of all like to invite Brian Lazir, Vice President of Product Management, to talk about cloud connectivity innovations.
All right. Good morning. So our team works on products that help customers secure their workloads and their workload traffic in the public cloud. One of them is referred to as the Cloud Connector. Customers consume and deploy it as a virtual machine in their public cloud environment, and they can get auto-scale by using the cloud-native load balancers that we support. The connector securely tunnels customers' traffic from the cloud to the Zero Trust Exchange. And when they select specific traffic to that environment, it acts as like a Zero Trust gateway to easily enable ZIA, ZPA, data protection, and other types of capabilities there. This also secures the traffic to its destinations, which could be to internet, to on-premises locations like a branch or data center, but also to the cross-cloud environments. We also support app-to-app level visibility and enforcement at a host level. All right, so I'll cover the sort of the challenges that we see from our customers. Dhaval mentioned a little bit of this, and I'll click into this as it pertains to the public cloud. The first point is that you obviously know it's very, very elastic, and you can easily consume tens and hundreds and thousands of VPCs and VNets very quickly, and this spikes your operational complexities where speed of business is moving really fast, and the security teams struggle to keep up. The other areas around segmentation. Workloads spin up and spin down very quickly, and to manually do this is probably unrealistic. And this could lead you into a risk position of possible lateral threats or data loss. And then the last point is around if you're in multi-clouds today or you're planning to head there, we've found that customers reflect that sometimes they have to manage them independently. The tooling and the operations sometimes are unique enough where they have to do it that way. So we're planning to help in those areas. These will be our themes as we talk through the conversation about our innovation for Cloud Connector, and we'll start with simplifying operations. So in this category, I'll highlight a couple of them. The first one, actually I'll demo, which will help customers visualize, actually see all their workloads in their cloud environments. And this includes down to the VM EC2 level, and we'll be surfacing key components of those, such as the attributes and the user-defined tags that you can actually apply to security policy. The next area that I'll note is that we see a lot of VDI consumption in public cloud. And along with our support for persistent-based VDI, where you apply the desktop to a dedicated virtual machine or EC2, customers want flexibility to deploy more. And that includes types that are referred to as multi-user or non-persistent workloads. So that's coming soon. We're also big fans of templates. So we work closely with Terraform in supporting those, as well as CloudFormation if you are an exclusive kind of AWS environment. All right, we'll dig into demo. We'll start here. This is your Cloud Connector portal. So this is the visibility to your workloads. This specific example is a AWS account level. So you'll see multiple VPCs here and all of the EC2s and VMs that are part of that environment. Now, how did we get here? When you enable this feature, you give Zscaler permissions, and on the back end, we automatically light up a workload discovery as a service for you. So this will provide all the visibility here. It's also continuously updating this information for you. So as new VMs are brought up online, they're exposed to you here. And also if you deprecate, those are simply removed from this environment. So it's actually a pub sub on the back end. So you get that near real-time visibility. So let's click into a particular VM here. And you'll notice that at the top, these are the attributes that the cloud provider provides. These are the static components. Like you might have a security group ID, you might have a OS type that's reflected in this section. And at the bottom, these are all the user-defined tags that you and your teams have built for this specific VM. This one has 40, so it's a pretty busy VM. And we're going to select a particular key value pair called finance. And this will be a component to the rest of this demo. So here you have the opportunity to build what's called a resource or workload group based off of that tag. You can join them, you can do ands and ors. In this case, we'll keep it simple and just call it prod finance, and it's associated to those user-defined tags finance, so that all EC2s in this environment that have that same tag value are automatically plumbed into that group. And that means that as they come and go, they're simply added and removed to that group. So the coolest part is that not only is it part of your forwarding rules out to the Trust Exchange, but this same intelligence gets plumbed into your ZIA and ZPA policy definition. So here we have the example of a firewall rule in ZIA. And you can select that group that we define, that prod finance, as part of one of your objects in your rule. This supports all other ZIA capabilities for SSL rules, DLP, Secure Web Gateway, and everything else. We'll jump over to ZPA. So here you can apply this to an access policy. Same type of user experience. You've got your group. You can select as a drop-down. There's the prod finance one, and now this is incorporated into that in your ZPA experience. All right, let's jump to the segmentation, the automation. A little bit of backstory here. As per ZPA, we've been helping customers provide least privilege access for users to applications. And as part of their ZPA journey, we've been supporting use cases in cloud, using cloud connectors, as well as branch environments with the branch connector. So we're excited to announce that we're now supporting app-to-app or host-level controls and visibility, all built on ZPA. So this will help customers with micro-segmentation use cases on ZPA. And this will give the cloud-native identity details. It provides the microflow visibility and enforcement capabilities. It's also built on the grouping technologies that ZPA provides using machine learning for not only the grouping and segmentation, but also the policy recommendations. And here's the visual of that. So this is an example of an AWS environment at a region level. And it includes all the microflows that are coming out of those individual hosts across the VPCs. And then more importantly, we can zoom in to specific environments like a subnet within a VPC. And this would be a true microsegmentation kind of visibility. And again, this provides the auto discovery of the workloads. It also includes the runtime flow analysis, so you can see exactly who's talking to whom. at a host level, and this provides those host-based policies and controls. This is, again, built on ZPA, so it provides customers a solid and proven platform for microsegmentation use cases. All right, my last bit is around helping customers realize that unified multi-cloud experience for providing consistent security features and operational controls. A couple of highlights here is that we have support upcoming for Google Cloud, and this will join our support for AWS and Azure. Another one is a use case that was announced yesterday as part of our Equinix partnership, and this will help customers with zero trust for private connectivity services. And I'll go into a little bit more detail on this particular one. And the last one here is for cross-cloud monitoring. And here is a screenshot of that, and this gives customers that single place for seeing a view into all your workloads and your details across your cloud deployments. And this will include over 50 different types of health metrics and events that you can configure. So going back to the private connectivity services use case, this is an exciting opportunity to extend these use cases using Cloud Connector and getting the support for the private connectivity services that you probably use today, such as AWS Direct Connect, Azure Express Route, and Google Interconnect. So through your Cloud Connector portal, you still build your rules, and you can direct that to your connector that uses the tunnel transport underneath those services to now Equinix, where it's terminated, as it is today. And the new part is that Equinix automatically directs that traffic to Zscaler presence that's sitting in that same environment. So now you can apply ZIA and ZPA simply there. So you can have those zero trust principles applied to that traffic before it goes to its next destination, which could be to internet, it could be to your on-premises locations, or the coolest one, I think, is the cross-cloud. So you can go across with Direct Connect, let's say, apply it at your policies with zero trust within the Equinix environment, and then it can actually connect into, say, an Azure Express Route on the other side. So you can maintain that backbone consistency from multi-cloud. All right, so this completes my part of the Cloud Connector innovation pieces, and I hope you join the What's New section. It's available today at 1:15 if you check your agenda there. At this point, I'm going to segue into bringing up one of our customers. So please invite Patricia Gonzalez-Clark. She's Vice President of IT at NOV. Thanks, Patricia. Good to see you. Come on up.
Good morning.
Thanks to have you up here. Actually, you were here last year at Zenith Live 2022.
I was. I joined Alex in his presentation with Casey Lee. It was very fun.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
Thanks
well, thank you.
for your
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's kick off with maybe you could just give us a sense for your journey for how you're protecting your cloud. You know, what does that look like to you?
Yeah, well, the cloud security journey, I'm going to be raw and honest. We started exploring the cloud in 2016 with Azure, and we used our fine-honed networking and data center skills to deploy the cloud like we built our legacy data centers. Imagine that. We built eggshell networks with flat open, hardened perimeters, flat open networks on the inside. We deployed legacy virtualized firewalls, and we created point-to-point IPsec tunnels. At that time, we were administering the cloud via the admin console. So imagine how static that is. By 2018, though, we had learned about well-architected frameworks, cloud security frameworks, and we realized we had to reboot our cloud program. And we did that by creating new patterns and practices for landing zones, deployments for applications, deployments for data center extension, and we deployed it using infrastructure as code. And so all through a CI/CD pipeline, baking security in from the beginning. And so we're thinking, yay, we won. We're more agile, we've moved away from ClickOps, but then the journey continued, and we evolved by adding AWS as a cloud provider. So now we're multi-cloud. So all of these things start to become more complex. They're very similar, but then they each have their own nuances. So now we're all in on zero trust, and Zscaler is a very close partner of ours. And so how do we continue to evolve in the cloud today? And that's where we're very excited about some of the advances you have with your Cloud Connector. And I'm really digging the policy by tags. So I'm excited about the technologies that you're deploying to help us secure our cloud and segment it even further. And so today we've deployed Zscaler Cloud Posture. It's been very helpful. We've tested the cloud connectors. It tested very well. So that's kind of our journey in a nutshell.
Super. Do you have any lessons learned that you want to kind of reflect on? Any of those details that you would
Yeah, lessons
your partners
learned
and your peers?
On your cloud journey. Well, one, it's a culture shift. So education really breaks down a lot of barriers with your teams. You have to move them out of the old mindset into the new mindset. Security is an imperative in the cloud. It's very easy to accidentally expose resources. And so education solves that problem too. And so you do have to think differently in the cloud. So,
great.
Yes.
Super. All right. Well, great. Well, thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for providing some details, and also being a great partner as you're going through your Zscaler journey.
Yeah, likewise. Zscaler's a great partner as well.
Super. Thanks,
Yes.
Patricia.
Okay.
All right. Thanks all. Test. Yeah, at this time, I'll bring out my colleague, Naresh Kumar, Vice President of Product Management. Naresh.
Good morning. Starbucks-like office, cafe-style office, those for in Europe and Asia, because Starbucks is not popular. What it means, this is one of the initiatives we are hearing from all our enterprise customers. And we started looking a little detail into what that means. When we go to coffee shop or work from any airport, no matter where we are, we just open our Mac, PC, we just get connected. You don't think about what underlying network you're going through. Is it a secure network? It's an unsecure network? Who owns it? Is my traffic prioritized? You don't think about it. All you do is you open your PC and you get connected to where you want in a secure way using Zero Trust. That's the kind of experience our customers are looking for, and that's what they mean by Starbucks-like initiatives. So from a branch office evolution perspective, we kind of categorized talking to all the customers into 3 groups. We have small branch offices where you have simply people. Jay talked about these nano branch offices for retail, banking, and other areas, where you simply have users. They just come into these offices, salespeople and other type of personas. They just get connected. Probably there is a badge reader or one printer in that. The key idea there is, from a transport perspective, all you need is a simple internet connectivity, right? This is what oftentimes referred as a very small, micro, nano type of branch offices. Then we have medium type of branch offices. In this type of branch office, you see a little bit more people, maybe 1 or 2 functions, and then you have devices. And these devices are typically printers, security cameras, badge readers, maybe a domain controller, DHCP server, or a couple other functional servers which are needed for operationalizing that branch office. And the idea there is you probably don't need MPLS-like service. Maybe a dual internet circuit is good enough, but largely internet as a transport. And the third type of branch office is where you have little large offices, campus, or even factories, where you have combination of people, guest users, probably in hundreds, and then you have servers, applications even hosted sometimes, and all of these IoT and OT devices in some of those factories. This is what we are seeing from an evolution of branch office perspective. And SD-WAN has done a fantastic job 7 years ago simplifying all of these connectivity from a branch office perspective using site-to-site VPNs. And the goal for SD-WAN was primarily to do cost savings, reduce as much as MPLS spend on customers so that they could leverage internet as a transport was the primary outcome of SD-WAN deployments. And the second biggest value SD-WAN's added was providing a technology stack to switch this and leverage this transport in a way it is abstracted to the end user and applications. Those are the two big benefits SD-WAN has provided. But SD-WANs do have challenges. If you remember, and if you have paid attention to all the 18 major SD-WAN technology vendors out there, they all use site-to-site VPNs as a technology stack to connect the branch offices to data center and wherever it is going. That is where you have the big challenge. Then came local internet breakouts. With the adoption of cloud and users going mobile, it has become very critical for enterprises to start breaking out the traffic going out to M365, Salesforce, and so on and so forth. So when that happened, one of the biggest goals with SD-WAN deployments was to simplify the footprint on branch offices and remove those firewalls which are present out there. And in that process, when you are doing local internet breakout, from a security standpoint, you need to make sure you're secure when you're connecting to internet or wherever you're going. That's where we have seen a lot of vendors start moving their on-prem branch firewall functionality into public clouds in a virtual form factor and calling cloud security. The problem with that approach, as we all heard from past 24 hours, it has attack surface problem. You're exposing and increasing your attack surface. And like any VPN, you also have the lateral threat movement problem. The biggest challenge with SD-WAN is it uses this site-to-site VPN technology, which is connecting two different networks, and you distribute those routes. You need to make those routes reachable. Yes, SD-WAN has simplified it by providing a UI and few clicks without going to a CLI screen, but foundationally, the technology and the protocols and everything was same. They just abstracted it and made it simple through centralized UI. But you still have the same challenges of attack surface and lateral threat movement. Speaking of the overlay routing networks which SD-WANs offer, there is a lot of complexity involved in that. Because for you to have your sites talk to your data center, for some devices, IoTs, printers talking to print servers in the data centers, you need to distribute those routes. You need to make sure sites are reachable to everywhere. Under the hood, you use BGP, you use OSPF, you use combination of different routing protocols to make that reachability possible. So anytime there is change or addition in new subnets, new networks, it increases the complexity. It is shielded, but it has an inherent complexity associated from a route perspective. And the third and most important area we have seen customers are struggling with SD-WANs is dealing with mergers and acquisitions. The moment you have a new merger or acquisition going on, you need to think about overlapping IP addresses. You need to worry about how you distribute your routes. You need to worry about how you do policy-based routes. There is a lot of this complexity involved, especially when it comes to merger and acquisitions, and even in the B2B integration scenario. These are the challenges with SD-WANs. Now let's take a simple scenario of two branch offices using a traditional site-to-site VPN technology to connect, and how it is done in today's world. A branch office with firewall either on-prem or in the cloud, just simply, if it has to go to a AWS or GCP or Azure, you have to use the same site-to-site VPN technology. Keep in mind, site-to-site VPN technology. VPNs are needed to connect. Same with the data center. When you want to go to internet, you need to make a local internet breakout, and you have to write policies and put security to make sure the bad is not coming inside. Now, let's look at how Zscaler solves this problem. How Zscaler will approach this problem without having a need for site-to-site VPN. How can we connect? How can we enable the branch offices to connect? That's where I'm very excited to talk about Branch Connector. Zero Trust Branch Connector is a network function which sits on the edge of the branch office, where all your non-user endpoints can be pointed to, where it acts as a gateway and takes the traffic, puts in a TLS tunnel, sends it to Zscaler. There is no routing needed. There is no overlay routing needed. I want to be very clear on that. There is only one route, which is 0/0 default route to Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange platform. So the app connector, which is sitting in front of the public cloud or in the data center, makes an inbound TLS connection, and you're all familiar how ZPA as a technology stack works today, and that's exactly the same technology we are using to connect any device to any device in any site to data center and so on. That's how we are replacing and eliminating completely site-to-site VPN. And with that, you have zero attack surface, you have zero lateral threat movement problem, and more importantly, we are eliminating the SD-WAN's overlay networks with a zero trust-based architecture and simplify the whole connectivity path. Now, I'm very excited to talk about the new innovations we have in the branch connector space. We have branch connector available today in a virtual form factor. And these, we already have about, as Dhaval mentioned, close to a dozen customers, 10 terabytes of aggregated traffic is already coming onto our platform. And we heard the feedback from our customers loud and clear. It is difficult to put a virtual appliance on a small branch office. We are very aware of that. And we respond to that. We took your feedback seriously, and we're introducing this plug-and-play appliance, which is taking this virtual machine software, putting onto this device, and making it a full zero-touch provisioning so that you just need to connect. It'll work, connect to the Zscaler Zero Trust Exchange, ready for configuring policies. So giving a little bit more details, I know Jay showed the appliance, and I got a lot of text saying, we couldn't see the box, what does it look like, how it is. So here is the two hardware plug-and-play appliances we are launching. There's a ZT800, an 8-port version, and there is a ZT600, a 6-port version. So both these devices completely have a zero-touch provisioning software with the TPM module and anti-tampering and all those security hardening features in it. You just simply need to plug in. It connects to Zscaler, registers, calls home, and then it's ready for operationalization. Let's take a look at a quick demo in 3 simple steps, how you can bring up a site and have it operationalize and send traffic and achieve the site-to-site and zero-trust connectivity. So in this demo, I'm going to show a site which in Vancouver, a customer want to bring up and walk you through this process in 3 simple steps. Let's start with the first step, which is discovery. So Zscaler Zero Trust branch connectivity is available through an admin portal where you could completely have a visibility of how many instances you have up and running, how many are deployed, and where they are located, and what are the status of each of those appliances, and so on, right? You can get all information through the full dashboard, which gives you a full picture. Now, in this demo, there are 2 appliances in HA mode needs to be deployed in a site in Vancouver. As soon as you just plug in those 2 units in that particular site, it automatically tells with your tenant information, it tells, and you can look at an alert will pop up in the Zscaler admin portal, where you could see in this case, 2 new appliances are available for provisioning. That's where you go on to the next step. Once we discover, we then allow you to enter all the network configuration parameters which are required for bringing this appliance up. So you go to provisioning and configuration page, and then add branch connector configuration, click on a new provisioning template. It takes you through a wizard. It has few clicks where you need to input the information, and it will bring this particular site online. So in this first step, you clearly can see either you could bring up a virtual appliance or the plug-and-play appliance. So in this case, I'm going to select ZT600, a small appliance. In a HA mode, customer want to deploy. You select that, and automatically it shows you a list of serial numbers for that particular model available for you to provision. You pick the right serial number and enter the details about the device name and any description you want to put about that particular site. And once you do this, you go to the next step, which is very important, to associating it to a particular location. These locations are the same locations what you create today on the Zscaler ZIA admin portal. You have an option to pick an existing location which is already defined on ZIA, or you could create a new location. Once you pick the location, you then have to enter the details around whether you need to do a HA or go in a single deployment. And once you select the HA deployment, once you say enable, it automatically gives you the information about entering the virtual IP address, the management interface for box 1, the service and forwarding interfaces for each of these boxes. Once you put all those information, which is where we go into the orchestration step, which is where you will get an option to review all the configuration what you have put through. And once you verify it and you make necessary corrections, if there are any, then you just simply enter finish and activate the configuration. That brings up the site online in less than 10 to 15 minutes. And then it is ready for configuring policies to send traffic and do all IoT and OT device connectivity to internet as well as private applications. So it is time to reimagine a world without using site-to-site VPNs. And Zscaler will help eliminate those site-to-site VPNs and the risk and threat associated with those site-to-site VPNs. And we will help bring or extend the benefits of Zero Trust onto not just users, to servers, IoT, OT, and all headless endpoints from a branch office perspective. And most importantly, we want to help our customers make their Starbucks-like, AKA cafe-like branch offices a reality. To learn more about this product, please stop by our booth, and there is a breakout where I'm going to talk more deep dive details in that session, and I'll be happy to talk to more of you, any questions you may have. With that, thank you, and I want to introduce Javier Rodriguez, my colleague on ZDX.
Good morning. An Acer survey finds that the majority of the IT leaders are in favor of workplace hybrid. Yet, the majority of the employees, 91%, find the workplace technology frustrating. Point tools fail to equip network persona and service desk. They leave blind spots. As Lord Kelvin said, if you can measure it, you cannot improve it. It requires manual correlation and additional time, and it's hard to be proactive. With ZDX, we give you the visibility to provide an optimal user experience. We measure from the user through the network, including Zero Trust Exchange to the application. Now, when a ticket comes, the service desk needs to either be an expert in the tool, or he could use our Power AI root cause analysis. The goal is to triage, is the problem in the network, the application, the infrastructure, or the device? So you can see here the ticket in ServiceNow, one of the most popular tools, where we have integrated our AI analysis, giving you the top factors. The first one is high DNS. The second one is suboptimal Wi-Fi. So now the persona can pivot into ZDX, where we can share the screen with a snapshot, ZDX snapshot, and now it can be routed to the network team, being a network problem, where they can use another AI tool, comparison mode, what are the differences versus when things were working, when they are failing. So in this particular case, we give you the main differences and also a visual comparison of the 2 points, the 2 cloud paths. In this case, you can see how when things were failing or high DNS, it's a service chain combination between an external proxy and, in this case, Zscaler Cloud. That's where we should focus our analysis and improve the DNS config. So using AI, we have dramatically improved the analysis time or the root cause analysis. What if we use that same AI to help the user directly? That's what we are introducing here. We have introduced or included a tiny AI engine in the client connector so that we can find problems when they happen in that precise moment for the user. We tell them what's going on with the diagnosis and the metrics, and we also give them a remediation so that the user can solve the problem by himself. We included also for our supervised learning user sentiment analysis. So we're helping the user. You told us but I care about the big picture. When something happens to a group of users, I want to detect incidents. So we're also introducing now our new incidents dashboard that helps you find the problem immediately and correct it very fast. What are we doing? We look at problems around application, problems around Zscaler data centers, and we go into the user level and even the instance of our cloud that is serving that user. We also look at ISPs, the most common problem during the pandemic. Right now, the most common problem is Wi-Fi, and I have an example for you. Now, this user was having suboptimal Wi-Fi, typically designed to help at home, comes to the office, and in the office there are multiple users having an issue. The AI detects it, and we have the details, the epicenter where it's happening, and we can drill down into our incidents page where we tell you who is impacted. When I drill down, click incidents details page, and I see what is happening, who is impacted. And we've also done a lot of research, and we appreciate your feedback too, so that we give you the best metrics that correlate to the problem and to the fast resolution. So what I've been showing you, additional metrics, we'll keep improving. We have a session where we can give you details if you're interested. So what we've done is, from the beginning of CDX with the CDX score anomaly detection, we're introducing features so that we can accelerate the time to resolution and increase the productivity very fast for the users. So from fast root cause analysis, from user self-help, to now the incidents dashboard, which is the big picture problem. And now I want to introduce JP Saini, CTO and CDO of Sunbelt. He's a veteran of the industry, and he's been leading transformation projects, in particular, very cool, using AI to predict big machinery failures before they happen.
Good morning, everybody. Everybody still awake? There's quite a bit of tech talk back there, right? So, well, let's simplify it. Let's put it in the business context. So I'm JP Saini. I'm the Chief Digital and Technology Officer for Sunbelt Rentals, a premier global brand with a pretty diverse line of offering in all things equipment rental, from as simple as a hand tool to these large machines you will see, to very specialized solutions in terms of HVAC, power, you name it, from flooring to good kept secret is we also are in the film and TV business. So most of the stuff you see in probably Hulu, Netflix, Amazon Prime or others is most likely chances are shot in one of our studios. So again, that's just to put in perspective what the brand is all about. What we really care about is bringing people, product, and these solutions together in a comprehensive manner. And to that effect, if you think about it, a business that's already very healthy and profitable and high growth, high touch, you take that business and now you want to do a complete business transformation led by digital and tech. Now, that's a pretty ambitious, easier said than done statement. But we took that challenge on about 3 years ago, and that's where I came into the play with the organization. What I learned quickly was, our DNA within Sunbelt of make it happen. Now, so as we embarked on, understanding what do we need to transform, to how do we deliver it, to how do we secure it. So that's where sort of Zscaler partnership was very eminent at the very forefront of it. And I've been a client of Zscaler in the past as well. But this sort of carries with me. So we looked at 6 different domains, from creating omni-channel commerce I'll skip the names of these partners behind the scenes for various reasons, to bringing in a brand new point of sale, to a complete integrated supply chain platform, to dynamic pricing, to a complete service platform, given that we are such a capital-intensive, asset-intensive business. And then you have to stitch it all together with some sort of underlying framework. But then while you do that, you still need a network that will allow you to deliver this effectively and every single transaction that happens. And you got to make sure that it's secure, right? So that's sort of our story on how we got through it. So quick, again, reflection to the brand, industry-leading fleet. You can see it's a very capital-intensive business. We've been fortunate to have the opportunity to invest with confidence and with responsibility, but not leave the opportunity in the marketplace. Given the pandemic, all of that we've worked through, we've been able to continually invest and bring the best to the marketplace in terms of solutions. That's a quick history timeline of what Sunbelt is all about. Humble beginnings, like no different than any other business, but a pretty promising business today. I'll promise you, if you didn't know Sunbelt Rentals, as you step out, you'll probably see right here in the convention hall or out on the road, we're on the fabric of the society every single day. So, quick, sort of how does all come together? We talked about the business transformation of those domains that allows us to write 22,000 plus contracts a day just within North America. We happen to be the 14th largest private fleet carrier in the United States, so we're also a logistics company. And now you're bringing in this entire transformation together. So do we make it all about tech? Certainly not. So our mission is not to really talk about tech, but really empower our people who are at the forefront of serving that experience every day to the clients over and over. So to that effect, the philosophy I carry is that technology isn't the thing, it's the thing that gets us to the thing, and that thing is positive business outcomes. And that's really the way to get it done, and then humanize our journey along the way. All right, so what's our journey with Zscaler? Of course, we started with where most of us would start, which is your ZIA, ZPA, ZDX. We had a sense of urgency, so we took a pretty aspirational approach. We got it done within 6 months, and we're continuing to build off that. Now, what does that bring to the table? If you think about it, we operationalized it. We brought the basic synergies to the table. We streamlined all these components together, SecOps, NetOps, support components. I think that's where ZDX played a pretty integral role on. Think about going from a very traditional on-premise business to now co-located business to now a multi-cloud SaaS environment. So you do need the line of sight into what happens, because you're standing behind the reliability of delivering that interaction and deliver it securely, but also in an optimized manner. So our support teams deserve to have an opportunity to understand what's happening in that transaction. Most of the times, somebody's sitting at home, working remotely. I heard Starbucks cafe type of environment before. Well, you're going to have those lags, and primarily it's either on the carrier side, it's a Wi-Fi thing, but most times, the impression or the perception would be, hey, your application is slow. So I think it allows our teams to be more proactive in identifying and putting their finger on where it is, and then hence, we can go after the remediation accordingly. And eventually, I think as you'll hear more, and I think we are being proactive about how do we empower the end user itself to be more self-aware, and maybe some self-healing concepts that will come to the table. And of course, what comes next? I think we're looking at ZPC and other things, so certainly that's helpful. We just talked about our journey on streamlining process, integration of core Zscaler technologies to our ServiceNow platform that allows us to now take that integrated automation to the next level to really bring some of the self-healing concepts to the table, to greatly reducing our network issues and the resolution time that's associated with it, to bringing that visibility at the app level. Especially in our case, we're going to be in that hybrid for a while and then truly multi-cloud SaaS environment. So this becomes a critical component. Just a quick reflection of how this comes together. If you're not familiar with it, you'll probably see some scoring, goes from red to yellow to green. You see this is just a snapshot of some applications that exist in our landscape that tells you that score is either healthy, performance is good, or it's in yellow, we got to do something about it. So red, of course, the house is on fire. But that just a more proactive way of looking at it. On the next slide, you can see, how do you really see the Wi-Fi we just talked about, or the branch segmentation we talked about. You do have pretty good insight into what's happening, on the Wi-Fi end or on the LAN end or beyond that. In this slide, you'll see there's about 238 devices that had potential issues. Again, that's just a segmentation of what that stuff looks like, and then what's on Wi-Fi, what's wired, and of course, there's a lot of drill down on this that the teams have access to. So with that said, that's our Sunbelt story. I'd encourage you to look at these things more from if you're having a bit of a challenge on how do I justify this, there's always the opportunity to do a quick proof of concept. Stuff works, it's a good, credible story, and you go from there. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. So in the hybrid workplace, the internet is the corporate network. How can we manage the unmanageable? I want to invite back to the stage Pam, Phil CTO, and Dhaval to tell you how.
All right. So Javier talked about a lot of innovations in the ZDX, right? Reducing mean time to detection, mean time to resolution, right? I got Pam with me. She used to run global networks for one of the largest companies that we worked with in the past, and we'll share some insights. But one quick thing that I want to talk about, right? The concept of incident spreads across multiple use cases. Wi-Fi is a problem, application could be a problem, user device could be a problem. One of the biggest culprit we see in this is the ISP could be a problem. And when you think about ISP, it could be last mile ISP, it could be intermediate ISP, and we see them in the data path all along. So we are giving an example. We are extending the concept of this incident to ISPs as well. We'll tell you which of your ISPs that users are connecting through to Zscaler are having a problem. So you can see how long a specific incident is going on. Is it a regional issue? How many of your users it is impacting, and how long that issue has been going on. So if I click on the incident details here, you can see this issue is going on the East Coast. It is impacting 7 users who are working from there. In one single geolocation, issues could be distributed as well. We have seen wider issues with AT&T and Comcast in the past. We had all that telemetry in the back, and now we are bringing it in front of you. Last year, we introduced a global ISP incident dashboard. Now that gets very contextualized for you and for your organization. So you can see specific impacted users. You can see key metrics like what is the ZDX score for those users who have been impacted. You can see egress first hop latencies for them, and you can also see if it was a complete blackout scenario when there was like no internet. You can see probes when there was no internet access. So these are very exciting innovations, but I want to understand from a practitioner's perspective. Pam, as you ran those large networks and you used both our services, ZIA, ZPA, to basically secure your traffic. So how some of these innovations, especially we are bringing out in ZDX, would have helped you at that time?
So thanks, Dhaval. So those of you who know me, you know I like to tell a story, right? You got to frame it up in your mind. What's reality? And so my reality in the past was, what would happen? I'd be going about my day, all of my staff would be, and all of a sudden, I'd start to get a text message or a phone call from the help desk supervisor. And they'd be like, hey, Pam, we're getting tickets. I'm like, okay, well, what are the tickets? Well, we have users down. Okay, well, what's down? Well, we're not quite sure. Well, how many tickets do you have? Well, we're at about 5. Oh, no, I think we're at about 10. The tickets are growing, right? And now you're like, oh, God, what's going on? So now you start making the calls. You start engaging your staff, right? And now you realize that the tickets, I'm like, you need to put a front-end message on your help desk. You've got to go ahead and engage your technical teams, because everybody's got to start looking at their environment to see what's happening, because you don't know what's happening. You also get a PM, typically, and the PM will start to take all of the trouble tickets that are coming in and start to try to analyze. Is it an application? Is it Office 365? Is it a specific group of users? Is it a specific region of the world? Right now, you don't know. And what do I have to do next? I have to call my CIO. And that conversation goes, hi, I'm just letting you know we have an incident. Okay? What is the incident? I don't know. How many people are impacted? I don't know. He goes, okay, you got 30 minutes. I want an update every 30 minutes. Here's that 30-minute mark, and it starts ticking, right? 30 minutes comes. I can't even get everyone engaged in a war room in 30 minutes, whether you're on Zoom, whether you're in a room. Now, paint this picture. You're in the war room, and there are multiple TV screens. And you have multiple SMEs from all the various areas. And they're all heads down. I have CNN trying to identify if there's a global event. I have a weather channel on to see is there a tsunami that may have hit Japan. Where are the users at? We're now identifying the region of the world that calls are coming in from. Okay, we're homing in on something. It's my 30-minute mark. What am I doing? I know the first 30 minutes, I can send a text. I'm not calling, I'm gonna send a text. But I know the next call, the next 30 minutes, that's a phone call, whether I'm calling or he's calling. So now you start to understand that all these various SMEs have different tools. Now, all these TVs have different tools. And quite frankly, I need a PhD to understand what they're even looking at, right? They're not looking at the same data. So how can we effectively, efficiently, and quickly identify a problem when not everybody's on the same page looking at the same data? That's where, quite frankly, the next incident happens. Guess what? I start getting a call from my peers saying, hey, awesome job. This is at the 45-minute mark. Awesome job. The problem's resolved. And here's me. Are you flipping beep? Right? Because I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know what the problem is. My CIO calls. He says, Pam, awesome job. What was it? Don't know. Well, how many were impacted? Don't know. He says, do you know anything? And it's at that point that all of a sudden the phone goes silent and you realize that your CIO is questioning your ability to really do your job because you don't have the right tools. You don't have the visibility into what's happening. And I said to him, I said, well, we're assuming it was a carrier issue. He said, you're assuming it's a carrier issue? Is it going to happen again? Probably. There? I don't know. That's where I see the functionality of ZDX would have changed my world in my previous role. And for all of you who are struggling today to be able to call the business, because ZDX with the ISP option told you, hey, you have a problem, this is where the problem is, and this is probably your radius of impact? Come on, that is immense. I would have given anything for that back in my day.
Thank you, Pam. That was great perspective.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to wrap up the session. You know, there was a lot packed in this session, from cloud networking to branch networking to digital experience. So all these innovations, if I have to sum up, I'll take 20 more minutes, but I'll try to do it in 20 seconds. So cloud, we are all moving workloads to the cloud. Cloud is not a question of if, but when. So let's figure out how to simplify cloud connectivity. Let's not make the same mistakes that we made in building our data centers and trying to extend that to the cloud. I see a lot of customers who are extending their data center networks to the cloud. That is not cloud, right? We are simplifying that for you with our infrastructure as code cloud connectivity offerings, which gives you secure cloud workload offload. Branch connectivity. SD-WAN was required, but we saw it as a transitionary technology. It's time for zero trust networking. Reimagine how you are doing branch connectivity. And if users are not happy, security doesn't matter in today's world. So use the power of AI. This is an area where AI can give you tremendous insights and empower your employees to maximize their productivity. This is why things like self-help or users getting insights and being able to act on things is not just good for them, but also saves a lot of costs for organizations. All right. With that, we'll wrap up the session, and I hope you will enjoy the rest of the Zenith Live. Thank you.